Like,
apparently, we've heard already Rodrygo is apparently Arsenal's #1 wide man target this summer, or better yet, winger. We've heard that several times. It says here we can exclusively reveal the recruitment team at Arsenal are in unanimous agreement that Rodrygo is a player who could be the difference in the hunt for major silverware. Several key figures at Arsenal spoken to Rodrygo, including first team players, about life at Arsenal/North London. Other Premier League clubs are involved and have set out their strategy to lure him, but I'm told Arsenal will present a strong financial offer if the player is placed on the market. Now, check out the video I did yesterday. There was some really aggressive comments that Real Madrid have made a decision that Rodrygo's going, or better yet, that Rodrygo is leaving. We've heard those rumors. We've heard everything between. We've heard it's all centered around a conversation with Xabi Alonso. And my wild hunt is, regardless of if Rodrygo joins Arsenal, stays at Real Madrid, or goes elsewhere, we're not really going to know anything as common football fans until after the Club World Cup, which is underway. And now some of you would have also seen tweeted out yesterday as well. Apparently, Xabi Alonso has settled on his starting 11, in which includes the new Argentinian wonder kid that they're signing from River Plate, Mostantano, very good player, and it's on brand with Real Madrid. And the starting 11, long story short, did not have Rodrygo in it. Now, again, as Arsenal fans as well, yes, you can have your strongest 11, your started 11, and, you know, keeping egos in check when you've got Rodrygo, Vinicius, Mbappe, the list goes on. And no doubt Real Madrid in this time will probably sign stars, is one thing, but you need depth. If Real Madrid want to go all the way in La Liga, Champions League, Copa del Rey, all that stuff, you need depth, and things can change over a season, injuries and all of these things. So how much stock you want to take in that, I don't know. Apparently, Rodrygo is happy at Real Madrid. He wants to establish himself under Xabi Alonso and prove his place at the club, in which I guess if you're Xabi Alonso, you know, I'm sorry, if you're Rodrygo, you might not have been figured too highly, allegedly, in Carlo Ancelotti's plans. A new manager might utilize you. It's a kind of first season that's, by Real Madrid standards, as a non-Real Madrid fan, been a bit of a dampener. Do you want to leave like that? And he's been there for a number of years. His dream was to play for Real Madrid. He's won trophies for Real Madrid. You might not get the highlights that some of the more senior players currently get, or the Real Madrid legends, but I think those within the club and those at Real Madrid give him his flowers, if I'm honest with you. So why would you want to leave like that, like kind of through the back door, or leave on a dampener? I'm not sure. And apparently Rodrygo has sent a clear message to Real Madrid in crunch talks with Xabi Alonso after multiple Premier League clubs, including Arsenal, approached the Brazilian. Now, again, approaching, obviously the lines get blurred in football, but we all know bids agreed, personal terms, medicals, all of that thing. You can imagine that in the footballing world, not just Arsenal, several big clubs in Europe, if they've got wind that Rodrygo might be having some level of thoughts about leaving Real Madrid, you're going to try and, you know, if you're Mikel Arteta or Arsenal, you're going to, many layers before this, but you're going to use a Martinelli or Gabriel Magalhaes, you know, fellow countrymen, to talk to him and sound things out and things of that ilk. You're going to reach out to his camp and see how he's feeling at Real Madrid, his openness to signing for Arsenal, broadly what wages would look like. Not that they can answer for the club, but potentially what a fee would concern. That's very different from opening official communication or channels with Arsenal. Now, I do think if Rodrygo signs for Arsenal, once again, it will be dragged out. You know, for all of the talk about Rodrygo, you still got to get the Seskos, the Keppers, the Zubamendis, if it's not done, over the line. Probably need to dot I's and cross T's with some outgoings and sort out a couple of contracts and some other business. Probably need to get arguably another goalie, maybe a defender. Maybe then you could get at Rodrygo. Spare a thought for Andrea Berta, because it feels like he's having to juggle multiple plates at once at Arsenal this summer. We've been apparently handed a hammer blow in our pursuit of the Real Madrid star. It's been revealed he wants to stay at Real Madrid and play under Xabi Alonso. He was said to be upset about playing a secondary role behind Kylian Mbappe, Vinicius and Jude Bellingham, and was increasingly warming the bench under Carlo Ancelotti. And in terms of positioning, we hear he doesn't want to play on the right. He wants to either play centrally on the left. I'm not sure for centrally with Odegaard there, but you could play in that role, definitely, and thrive there. And the left-hand side, big up Martinelli, who, like Odegaard, is doing quite well with his country at the moment. You're going to disarm Martinelli for his place. Again, Carlo's left. Alonso's arrival appears to have convinced the winger to stay, and he's already told the Spaniard his future lies in Madrid, and that any doubts have been dispelled. It marks a dramatic U-turn for the 24-year-old who appeared set to leave the Bernabeu after 6 seasons at the club. Obviously, currently he's in training with Real Madrid and whatnot, people. He has a release clause of 850 million. You'd imagine Arsenal and all the other clubs potentially interested aren't going for him, and he's contracted until 2028. And there actually has been rumors that they want him to renew a deal. Apparently, we're keenly monitoring his situation and had approached him in the hope of luring him to North London before the start of next season. Arteta had been convinced Rodrygo would play a major role in Arsenal's pursuit of silverware, the Athletic reported. We know we finished second for a third successive year. It's also reported, however, that Arsenal are not the only Premier League side to have approached the winger, although the clubs in question have not been named. Apparently, long story short, he's frustrated at, being a backup dancer essentially to Bellingham and Mbappe. He prefers to play on the left wing rather than the right. His willingness to play left wing at Arsenal could present a major blow to Gabriel Martinelli, who has consistently played there for Arsenal over the past few seasons. So yeah, man, I think nobody was really that optimistic. Apparently, El Hilal have inquired about Benjamin Sesko, but his preference is to remain in Europe and join Arsenal. As you know, we apparently have scheduled a new round of talks in the hope of signing a 22-year-old Slovenian and currently Leipzig striker. Apparently, Leipzig want a quick resolution over this. They've told the Slovenian FA not to play him in their upcoming internationals, in which, if you're the Slovenian FA or the manager, you're not listening. As it says here, people, he intends to stay in Europe for now and has switched his sights on a move to the Emirates instead. He's got 39 goals in 87 games for Leipzig, and naturally, we've been chasing him for the best part of over a year. El Hilal and Saudi clubs seem to be looking at a lot of players, and Darwin Núñez seems to be someone drawing their attention. Hand of Arsenal, to be fair, I don't condone or condemn the ITKs. I look at what they're saying, and so far it feels like he's got a good track record, even down to when he said, like, the Zuber-Mendy thing, like 24 hours from now, he's going to be front page on Marsa, and he was right. He's spoken on the striker context, in which many have noticed that I've been silent on the striker situation since May. I'm going to explain why chronologically. Walk with me. Firstly, it's important to address the union at Arsenal. I see many people trying to pit Mikel against Berta. Nothing could be further from the truth. I reported it was Arteta who held calls with Andrea and advocating along with the board to recruit the Italian sniper. A rigorous recruitment process was conducted. At any global sports enterprise, there will always be a difference of opinion. It's actually very productive to growth and enhancement. True, in achieving sporting objectives when nurtured, apologies, correctly, the summer transfer plan is unanimously agreed on, I can assure you. On Gyökeres, I start by saying the country of Portugal suffers from journalists. Therefore, once Mr. Ornstein reported our interest in the Swede, we heard many reports on ghost offers for him, but nothing materialized. Andrea has every financial detail on this file, and as I reported, no bid was and has been made of yet. Although the reporting was heavy, it's crucial to pin that it resulted in no official bid being placed as of Monday. Check out the video I did yesterday, because we saw reports that Gyökeres is frustrated with Sporting Lisbon going back on a gentleman's agreement. For Benjamin Sesko, Arsenal have been in talks with Sesko's camp for 2 years now. Hence, when reports emerged on Friday, I was silent. Let me explain their internal situation, which they don't want to be made public. The club need to sell immediately. They are in advanced talks with their new coach. This is obviously in relation to Leipzig, and also want to plan their own summer transfer window with targets lined up, which is true. If Xabi Simmons wants to leave, Sesko wants to leave, you didn't get Champions League, then you need to bring in a new manager. You got bare things to do. And with the greatest of respect to Leipzig, this is what they do. They get players low, sell them high. This is the whole reason of that Red Bull kind of pyramid or triangle of clubs that they've got. And you've seen Sesko come all the way through that, even when he went out on loan to Austria. So that makes sense. I don't disagree with any of that, people. As you all know, no Champions League money has made them desperate, and Andrea is well aware. Marcel Schaefer, the director of football, has been briefing journalists to sensationalize these talks, which is it's a dirty part of football, but we all do it, including Arsenal. He then further briefed them over the weekend about Leipzig being calm when they are far from to posture publicly. I can tell you firsthand, they intentionally leaked the Saudi interest as a last ditch to hurry Arsenal. Sam Dean is spot on about 2 clubs from Saudi being in for him and could well try to tempt him urgently. As far as I'm aware, personal terms are not agreed, but won't be an issue at all. The player has personally told Arteta he is ready to lead the line at Arsenal and wants to remain in Europe as first choice. Ollie Watkins is seen as the fail-safe option. Remember, I asked you to pin the point of no Gyökeres bid despite media hype. The same can be said for Gyökeres. So talks are going. Until a bid is made, do not let your eyes deceive you, nor constant reporting lead you astray. I mean, we got content to make, so we'll be doing that. Smash the like button and let me know your thoughts on this so far. Do you think Ollie Watkins is the fail-safe option? Are you keen on it, Sesko? Has Sesko convinced you? I'm in the process of doing a video on that. Or do you still want Gyökeres, people? I'm not sure. Talks are taking place this week to test the resolve of RB Leipzig's firm stance and gain financial clarity before a true decision is made. This post was made to provide clarity exactly where we are currently. Patience is key. We are reaching the end game, and I will see you at the finish line, my people. Okay, fair play. Why Arsenal want to sign Benjamin Sesko over Gyökeres? We are actively working to strengthen our forward line this summer. We've talked with the club in talks for both Victor Gyökeres and Benjamin Sesko. RB Leipzig youngster Sesko has now emerged as the more likely target due to the key difference in mindset and squad role expectations between the two players. What does that mean? Is Sesko cool to be second fiddle or rotation option? Does Gyökeres want to be the starter? Sources have confirmed to Football Transfers that Arsenal have held multiple discussions with Gyökeres' camp over the past few weeks. While both parties remain open to a potential move, the Swedish forward is understood to have some reservation. Their hesitation stems from Arsenal's current plan to rotate in with existing striker Kai Havertz. At some point, something's got to give. You can't be just giving everybody a game. That's Sunday league. We need a forward, and if that means if Kai's forms out of this world, great, granted. But yeah, rather than offer him a guaranteed starting berth upon arrival, which for the new striker, again, I don't know football, and I understand you have to earn your place, but for me, the new striker needs to start. That's how we elevate stuff. Gyökeres got 54 goals this past season. He wants to be the clear first choice option wherever he goes. That may ultimately explain why Arsenal have accelerated negotiations with Sesko. So apparently, we prioritized Sesko. Apparently, we remain favourites despite the fact that his variable release clause had exceeded the 80 million euros mark. Sources close to the situation now indicate that talks are at an advanced stage, and Sesko is more than willing to come into a highly competitive environment at the Emirates, more so than Gyökeres. Sesko is embracing the opportunity to compete with Havertz. So, with an extra year at Leipzig, do you feel more confident in that? Because that same language was peddled out last year, and he was said to have had reservations. His mindset has impressed the Arsenal hierarchy, who view the 22-year-old as a long-term asset with the physical profile and mentality to thrive under Arteta. While a deal for either striker would represent a significant financial commitment, Gyökeres is available for around 70 million. Arsenal are carefully assessing which player fits better within their evolving squad structure. I mean, I must admit, I hear that. But because of the level that we've been linked with Sesko, so we must know everything about him, broadly, personal terms, where he is right now, what he could be in the medium and long term. To a degree, the same for Gyökeres because we was linked with him last year. In terms of how he fits into the squad and all of that, anything can change upon new information arriving. But you would imagine that element, surely that don't really fly with me because that has to have been done a while ago. If you are going to the point of talking with advisors, being able to pivot towards Gyökeres or Sesko, depending on what happens, people, I'm not sure. But it says here, at the present, Sesko's openness to fight for his starting spot and his age profile give him the edge in the internal decision-making process. The Gunners remain keen to finalize a marquee striker before pre-season. Sources indicating that a resolution could come swiftly once Sesko gives the final green light. For now, Gyökeres remains a backup option unless circumstances shift drastically in the days ahead. It'd be nice to get both. I'm greedy, I know. Thomas Partey has spoken on his future, people. He's dropped a major hint, apparently. What has he specifically said? We all know we seem to be reaching a conclusion with Zubimendi, although we won't really know until Arsenal announce something or July, people. On Zubimendi's arrival, Partey said, I think the first thing is, where are you happy and where do you feel at home? At the end of the day, you've been in football, you've been in different teams. Then it's about what's your next objective? What do you want to achieve next? You still have to look at all of this. And at the end of the day, we all have a family that needs money. This is our mind. So what does that tell you? I'm a footballer. I'm open to everything. I need to make money and I need a decent contract, really and truly, which let me know I'm wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We're not getting any younger. There are a lot of things where you have to look now with family, where you want them to be happy. Also, there's an element of moving countries. When you go out, nobody's going to destroy your family. These are things you have to look at. When you're young, you can just anywhere. I'm an Arsenal fan. I can't decide anything and just have to leave it to my agent and the club. Me, I just want to enjoy football. Fair play. He then said, I think they will say about the availability because I was available throughout the whole season. So, of course, they will say that. Every moment, every year, every time in training where I feel I've been in my best because I can't count how many games I was not giving my all. Sometimes it may go bad, but every game I go out and try to give my best. I feel happy in me. Every year, injury or no injury, which is part of it, I give my best. Fair enough. Would you not give Partey a new deal or do you want him to go? Sesko wants to go to Arsenal and is energized by the prospect with personal terms seen as no issue. The primary issue right now is between the clubs. Leipzig are currently holding firm on receiving his release clause, now understood to exceed 65 million. million. Gyökeres ready to speak publicly. Man United and Arsenal apparently are hovering. He's said to be furious. His agent has been speaking. He's been linked with Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea, El Hilal, Napoli, Juventus, so on and so forth, people. So I have to see. Apparently, that is exactly what, according to record, Gyökeres transmitted to the club in the last few hours. Due to the controversy surrounding the gentleman's agreement that existed since September, and that the centre forward believes he's now being disrespected, so he wants to talk publicly. Arsenal, United, Juventus, El Hilal again are mentioned, as well as the 80 million euros the agent has been told to get. Boy. And apparently the sporting president is set to speak. So we'll have to see, man. I don't think we're on to Gyökeres. I just mentioned Juventus are preparing an offer for Gyökeres, which could be a good move. United are still about. One person we won't be linked with anymore is Leroy Sane. Fabrizio Romano and all the credible journalists are saying that he is going to Galatasaray, which, is he cashing out now? He's set to leave Bayern Munich in favour of a fresh start to his career at Galatasaray. I just want to see if Arsenal were mentioned, or here we are. Arsenal were very strong contenders, but were considering their options, with Sane wanting a more immediate resolution and an appealing proposition from Turkey providing that. Worst case scenario, yeah. Imagine Nico Williams is too expensive. Sesko goes, I don't know, Sesko signs somewhere else. Gyökeres goes somewhere else. Partey leaves. You bring Zubamendi in. I wonder where that leaves our targets. My point being, we have to be able to pivot. You know, we've got plan A if everything goes right, B, C, D, etc., etc. So apparently we were strong contenders, but clearly we were not that aggressive on getting that done. Or maybe we was, but there's priorities elsewhere. So yeah, we can finally put the Leroy Sane stuff to rest, people. He nears Galatasaray move. We're out of the race, just like everybody. He rejected Bayern Munich's offer. Again, he seems to be going to Galatasaray. Benjamin Sesko's preference, as we already know, is to remain in Europe rather than go to Saudi, apparently. What is this? Arsenal have been speaking to Mohamed Kudus about a potential deal, as you would have seen reports this week. And you got to remember, he was actually at Arsenal versus PSG. Now, he lives in London. He had some time off. And, you know, I'm sure you got, well, your international teammate Partey probably could have got you some good seats. But could there have been talks back then? I don't know. Maybe I'm speculating. We've gone over Arteta apparently being convinced on Rodrygo. Let me know your thoughts on Alejandro Garnacho. Would you take him at Arsenal, people? Trigger warning. Apparently, Man United have set an outrageous price. Arsenal and Chelsea have been linked. 83 million euros. So what's that? 70 odd. Fair enough. 70 million is the new 20, 30, 40, maybe even 50 in today's day and age. And he is young and all of that, but you're going mad. You're going mad. That's 70 million. So I'm kind of bang on. Nah, forget that. Aston Villa have been name dropped, as well as Atletico Madrid, his former club, Leverkusen and Napoli. I understand that apparently he wants to stay in the Premier League, but there's some good foreign teams in for you. Atletico and Napoli. Boy, anyone having him for 70 million? I don't know. Athletic Club are in talks over extending the contract of Nico Williams and will offer him a huge pay rise to convince him to reject the likes of Arsenal, Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Chelsea, people. After Barcelona last summer, Bayern are now the main suitor for Nico Williams this summer. He's their main priority. Bayern open contact with the player to convey their financial proposal. Barca won't return for Williams this summer. Meanwhile, Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta has earmarked the winger as a key reinforcement at Bilbao. We've probably been linked the most with Rafa Leao, not the most, but Rafa Leao, Nico Williams, and obviously Rodrygo. And if you don't get Nico because he's too expensive, you don't get Rodrygo, and you don't want to pay the 170, 80, 100 million euros for Leao, you probably have to go and get a young emerging prospect, whether that's Leon's Fofana, the couple of lads at Monaco, or Karim Adeyemi. I'm not too sure on what we do. He's not really a winger. He can play all about. But Leon got that. What's the Argentinian lad's name? Is it Thiago Manda? That would be my wild card pick. So would Profundi. At Bilbao, they expect a long summer of speculation around the player, but the club is confident that Nico will once again decide to stay. Release clause is 58 million. Caveat that with his wage demands. Zubamendi's transfer to Arsenal is regarded by the club as being done and signed, and the player is expected to link up with the squad for the start of pre-season. Real Madrid likes Zubamendi, but did not pursue nor actively work on recruiting him. We have been linked with Mark Gurhey, who has a year left on his deal and would face the prospect of having to either take Gabriel Magalhaes, who just signed a new deal, or William Saliba, who we hope signs a new deal's first team spot. So we'll have to see how that develops. I'm not too sure if I believe the source, because I think this is a podcaster, but Arsenal have been linked with Morgan Rogers, and apparently Chelsea have contacted the agents of Rogers, with the player thought to be open to a move this summer. A lot of Chelsea's recruitment has been centered around big money and also emerging talents. But a lot of their players, whether that's Lavia, whether that's, Morgan Rogers, a lot of players have at some point. Jadon Sancho spent time at City, where you got to look at who are some of the recruitment staff at Chelsea and where were they prior to Chelsea. Nothing is coincidental. Now, we just sold Nuno Tavares to Lazio. Apparently, Chelsea and West Ham could also sell people to Lazio. And, Nuno Tavares has actually been linked with bigger clubs in Italy. He's also been linked with Saudi. So apparently, we've got a 40% sell-on clause. If Lazio want to make a quick prof, that's more money in our cabinet, essentially, people. So you never know what could happen, but he's being linked with a move away, and simultaneously, indirectly, we could help Chelsea or West Ham in flogging players. What is this? Fabio Vieira, I didn't know, but he's part of Porto's Club World Cup squad, which apparently he was allowed to do that under the terms of the agreement with Arsenal. So he's almost continuing his season. Does that tell you he's going to stay at Porto permanently, or is he going to link up with Arsenal when we go to Hong Kong? Not a clue, but it'd be interesting to see. Bournemouth have set a 70 million price tag for Semenyo, who's apparently a target for Arsenal and Manchester United, and who's also being linked with Spurs. 50, I could hear it, even though I think it's a bit overpriced. 70 is a no from me, people. Lucas Martin Nordgaard, who's an 18-year-old who plays for Denmark's under-21s and Arsenal's academy. Long story short, I was just happened to be reading this. He has said he's been talking to people at Arsenal, and they feel that now's the right step to go out on loan, people. Which, fair enough, go and get some first team football. Despite talks on going over a Trossard deal, he could get fresh terms, but the outcome still remains uncertain. So it'd be interesting to see what happens where Arsenal are concerned, man. Is there anything else in terms of links?
Always